everybody. Welcome back to the half hour of power. I'm Joe, and we can see that Mark.
It's me.
That Mark there?
Oh, it's me. How did I get here? Oh my God, I must.
Special guest Mark from the Toys of the Time Gone By show joins us again for
I'm in the wrong broadcast.
fun discussion here. Mark, thanks once again for stopping on by.
Thank you for having me here.
Here's to you.
I lift up my Coke Zero to you.
Hey, my cup has zero Coca-Cola in it too.
All right.
Okay, so we thought we'd do something a little different, just kind of fun discussion about our love of movies and just see where this goes. How's that sound, Mark?
Sounds great.
Okay, so I've often asked this question of people, especially people who tell me they're movie nerds or movie buffs or they love movies because, we throw around that word love all the time. I love my shoes. I love this cup.
I love this Coke Zero.
I love Coke Zero. I love aluminum cans that hold my favorite beverage. Yeah, we just kind of throw that word around. We know what we mean, but sometimes we just say it and we don't really mean we love movies.
Yeah, it's true.
But real movie nerds love movies. And I suppose there's all kinds of different kinds of movie nerds. So my question that I would ask people is, what's the oldest movie you've seen? You love movies, right?
Oh, I love movies.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
and a lot of them, you get a bunch of varying answers. It's interesting the answer you get. So for me, I love movies. Not only do I love movies to watch movies, I was always fascinated with how were they made? Why did they make that? How do they, and you watch them and go, wow, look at that. That looks like if I was out on the street and saw it, I would see it, but it's in a movie, I don't know. I don't know if any of that makes any sense, but so I always.
It should make sense to us.
Well, yeah, you and me, it makes sense to, but people who just say they love movies, they just love movies. Well, I love movies, and I love them so much and am so fascinated by them. I want to know, how are they made? Where did they come from? What is the first movie? That type of stuff. What is the oldest movie you've seen, Mark, that you are aware of?
Okay. Like when I was a kid, you see behind me there's this little background here. This was called Fright Night, and when I was a kid, I used to stay up and watch Fright Night on my local station, and I seen all the old movies. And the oldest movie I think I've ever seen on Fright Night was all those old silent horror films, like Phantom of the Opera and Hunchback and Wolfman and all those Frankenstein and Dracula, like Dracula and Nosferatu. Those were the oldest movies I feel because of Fright Night, because as a kid I seen all these things. They were the oldest movies I've ever seen. And I think that's what I felt made me really love the horror films too, the old horror films, because they were so theatrical. And as a kid, I just really, because I wouldn't be able to see them any other way if it wasn't for Fright Night in my local station. I wouldn't be able to see them.
Yeah, so I mean, it's weird to think of this now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you and I did the same thing. I mean, I'm seeing that paper in the background, and I would watch every single title that I could see there. Mighty Joe Young, King Kong, Son of
Yeah.
Kong, Son of Godzilla, Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. I think I've seen everything on there that I can read on there.
I can't even see it.
Those are fantastic. It was very similar for me. I would watch. There was I can't remember which came first, but there was a book that I would look at the school library, and it was called Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Monsters, but We're Afraid to Ask. I'm checking the bookshelf behind me. Let me run back there real quick. And it might be right there behind me.
Okay, I'll entertain everybody. How you doing there?
Oh,
Yes, people.
yes, everybody. Are you not entertained?
I entertained everybody while you were gone.
This is it. Things you've always wanted to know about monsters, but were afraid to ask.
That's cool.
I love this book. This was at not this copy, but this book was at my library.
You mean you took that out and you still
I
kept to bring it back to them?
as a kid? No, I didn't. This book was actually
a lot of money.
This copy here, Jesse gave me this book. He found this book and gave it to me because we talked about it all the time. There's plenty of other books that I have back there that Jesse and I found and got, and we would exchange and we'd read. But this had these great, big, black and white pictures, like, of the old movies.
Wow.
There you go. You got Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi right there. And it had these fun little questions about stuff. It's a simple book. I mean, it's for kids. And it went back. It wasn't just there. You named some of the ones that are in here. The best version.
Oh, yeah, the Phantom of the Opera.
The best version of Phantom of the Opera.
I would agree.
Is right there. And I'm not talking about the musical. I'm not talking about the musical version. That's different. This is the movie, not
with Gerard Butler.
Yeah, I'm not talking about those because there are those. And this is my favorite live action Phantom of the Opera.
Let me tell you something. For the time, that makeup was really incredible looking. I'll tell you, that makeup.
Yeah, and this is Lon Chaney Sr., if you guys don't know, but Mark knows. And he is one of my favorite actors ever. Just all that stuff like that.
And Lon Chaney Jr. was good, too.
Yes, he was good, but he was not as good as his father, and all these questions like that. Did King Kong have a son? Just fun stuff like that. So the photos really is what kind of got me in it. It's like, wow, look at that. Look at these, just kind of got to me. And it made
That's
me
a
want
great book.
It just made me want to see these movies, this book.
You'll have to photocopy every page and send it to me.
You can get your own. You can get your own. I mean, just look at this still here from the 31.
Wow.
It's
Bela Lugosi?
Yeah. And
he was the best Dracula. He was the
I would
best
just
Dracula.
see that stuff and go, wow, that looks like it for me. I mean, that was it.
He was the
black
best.
and white and all of that stuff for me. That was
He was the best Dracula. He was the best Dracula.
He's your favorite?
Bela Lugosi was the best.
He's
He was so the way he was, man.
he he was fantastic. He did a fantastic job.
It's hard to fill his shoes. Hard.
Oh yeah. Now, my favorite is Christopher Lee, but I do love Bela Lugosi as Dracula also. So
What do you think the difference in their styles were? Like, what do you feel? What made one? What made one to where you can't compare them? What makes those two that is not comparable to where they stand on their own? What do you think?
well, Bela Lugosi was very stylistic to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really think the way he spoke was really it was a lot um, because he learned all his lines phonetically.
Yeah.
He had a certain way that he spoke, which I thought was really creepy, and I really thought added to the character. He's really suave, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Very suave.
Um, Christopher Lee, I think he was all those things, but he didn't speak very much as Dracula, but he was kind of more animalistic, if that makes sense. He would run around sometimes at the just like that, and it would just be. You never saw Lugosi do it. All his movements seemed to be very calculated and very precise,
Yeah.
which is kind of differences to me. But yeah, so I mean that, and then that book there, and then that. Of course, our local horror host here in Indiana, Sammy Terry. I would like look and see. Back in the day, kids,
Mm-hmm.
you actually had to open up a newspaper to see the TV listings.
Yeah, I missed that.
You had to, so there actually was, maybe there still is, maybe it's all online now, TV Guide. You had to get something like that that would tell you what's on. I would look and see when is Sammy Terry on, and there is Sammy Terry, what's Sammy Terry showing, and I saw he showed all the Hammer stuff, he showed everything behind you that you got on that paper. And then, so that would be on about 11:30 at night on Fridays, if I remember right. But after that, at 2:30 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
they would run all the Universal horror classics, all of them. I watched every one of those on there. So
Those are
sometimes,
great.
oh yes, I mean that's where I saw them, and you and I both had to watch them not today, and this is weird to think about this today, but not on a fancy flat screen 4K TV. We watched it the way they on a tube TV.
And not a big one either.
Yeah, a nice square screen. So
I mean, I remember as a kid watching at my grandmother's house, and in the kitchen they had a black and white 13-inch television,
yeah,
and in the parlor, we call parlor or living room, they had a 25-inch console that sat on the ground.
yeah,
Yeah,
we had one of those. Yes,
and we would watch it either that way or in the kitchen, in the 13-inch TV. TVs weren't huge.
no,
The biggest TV that I had in my house was 19-inch. That
wow,
was the biggest.
yeah.
But
Oh yeah, those giant floor models, those were great.
we used to just sit in front of them on the carpet and watch
Yes.
it. But I tell you, Frankenstein, the original Frankenstein, that makeup is the best makeup for that time. That Frankenstein is, nobody could touch that. Nobody.
Yeah.
And then you see, to tie this in a little bit, the NECA black and white Frankenstein that they
I have
Boris
seen
Karloff.
that. Yeah,
That is beautiful.
it is.
Black and white one.
It is fantastic, and there is yeah. I mean, the way they did that, the makeup, it just I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's they overuse the CGI on stuff like that, but
It looks silly now for some
they
reason.
just can't make it look that good. There seems to be something is gone from it, and you and I and Jesse have talked about what, and we don't know what it is. What is it that's missing from movies today? I don't know. I don't know if it's just because we came up in that era that we think that. I mean, who knows? The kids coming up today might, when they get to be our age, go, "What's wrong with movies today? In my day, when I was coming up, I could go see any Marvel movie. Now they just don't make them like they used to." Is that you think that's what's going to happen to these guys nowadays?
Here's the thing. When we were kids, we were born in the 70s, right? So I mean, I was born a little bit. I was born a little bit before you, a couple of years.
Yeah, but you're a little older than me, but
I'm a little older, but it's only a couple of years.
Yeah.
But when we were born, we came up in the 70s. The movies that we watched were not the movies that were modern. We watched the movies that were old, like our grandparents watched.
Yeah, exactly. Did you ever watch the Ma and Pa Kettle movies?
I remember them, yes.
Remember Ma and Pa Kettle?
I remember that, yep.
Laurel and Hardy.
Yep.
Abbott and Costello. The Marx Brothers. All that stuff.
Abbott Costello.
Yeah, Abbott and Costello. Growing up, on Sunday, they would run like Ma and Pa Kettle movies.
And Three Stooges.
The Three Stooges, we'd watch those. And the Three Stooges, yeah, though that was good stuff. But let's get down to what is, if you had to put a date to it, what is the oldest movie you think you've seen that was released?
The oldest movie I think that I've seen. There's so many movies that I've seen that were old. I would think the oldest movie that I've ever seen had to be, oh my God, man, it would have to be either Nosferatu.
Yeah, so that is 1922.
Or could be Metropolis. How about you?
I think you're right. I think that Metropolis is older. I think.
I've seen Metropolis. I've seen the Nosferatu. There's another movie that.
Okay. So Metropolis is actually 27. So okay, you think it was Nosferatu?
How about the Phantom of the Opera? Because I seen that as a kid.
So that is 25.
Okay, well, they're still old.
They are. That's really, really good. Like we've talked about, it's interesting to ask people of varying ages this, and I try to do that. And the kids, I mean, especially if they say, "I love movies," like we opened the show with, "I love movies." All right, well, how much do you love movies? How far back do you watch them? Like kids nowadays, They love Marvel movies.
Yeah.
All right. So do you go back and look at the first attempts at Marvel on the screen?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, when I found out what serials were, I was really curious to see those.
Like the Captain America
Uh,
serial.
Captain America, Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon. There's a thousands and thousands problems.
Only
There was
thing with the
so
serial, the only thing with the serial ones is they never actually fought like a comic villain. They always fought like robbers and people who rob
oh
banks.
yeah, yeah,
They never fought like
yeah.
the
But
comic villain.
those were in the 40s,
Yeah.
30s and 40s serials. So
Yeah.
that's just interesting because it's like they've been making stuff like that for a long time on shoestring budgets and whatever effects they've had. I mean, and I don't even know if I'm wording this stuff right, but
Yeah.
that's just me. It's like, okay, so I love these movies. So what are the first ones I kind of want to see? Because I've always been there. Where's it come from? How did it get there? What is it? Because you got King Kong behind you, the original King Kong.
Yes.
King Kong has inspired that movie, that 1933 movie, has inspired so many filmmakers working today that I don't even think we could count them all. Just so many. And there was even stop motion before that. There was, which Willis O'Brien did, who did that King Kong. He did The Lost World.
Yeah, the Lost World. I remember that.
Arthur Conan Doyle story, which was a great movie. It's not as good as King Kong.
I seen that as a kid, the Lost World.
Oh yeah, it's a great, great movie.
I just remember, watching these movies, like I said, when I was a kid and in my grandparents' house or at home, like at night. I just remember sitting there watching them.
Oh yeah,
Child.
So the oldest movie that I think I've seen is, and let me get the date right, The Trip to the Moon.
Oh, I seen that too.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, with the face of the moon. That's so cool.
It's
I don't know how the heck they did that.
It is great. That movie is fantastic. It is.
That is so, and yet a little bit creepy.
Yeah, I believe it's
quite creepy.
It's about 10 minutes long. It is based on a Jules Verne story. It is inspired by a Jules Verne story, From the Earth to the Moon and Around the Moon. It's about 10 minutes long. Now, do you want to know the date?
Yeah, what's the date?
1902.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that really, I'll tell you, that was creepy. That face, that was a creepy, huh?
Students of film, and you know this now. I know you've heard this name because you and I went to the same school for this. We went to a film school, and I know you've heard this name. And I'm going to say it the way I've heard it pronounced. George Millay made that movie.
Yes, I know that name.
I knew you would.
You see, now when you said that Trip to the Moon, I wasn't even thinking that movie.
Exactly.
But that movie, I felt like, wow, that for that time, and that moon, that face on the moon, that was so creepy, man. That was so creepy, that face.
Yeah. So, and you and I going to film school, we meet a lot of people, and at the time we were there, and maybe it's still the same. Everybody was in love with Star Wars. Yeah. And the thing that frustrated me about that is you would hear them talk about it. And this one fellow, he would go about Star Wars started the special effects revolution.
Huh?
Yeah, but he would never say what he meant. Say, well, what does that mean? Well, what about King Kong? And he would never say what he meant. And to me, maybe he didn't mean this way, but I was always like, well, aren't you like forgetting all the special effects in movies before that?
What about Plan 9? What about all those B movies? What about all those?
No Plan 9
Huh?
right now. Plan 9 special effects revolution was cardboard.
No, I mean,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
what I mean is, what about all those movies before then that they took from, like those movies?
Yeah, he loves Star. Go ahead. I mean, go ahead and love Star Wars. I've always had, and I've said this on this show, I've always had a love-hate relationship with Star Wars. I really like Star Wars, but at the same time, I really don't like Star Wars at all.
I only like the first 3 Star Wars.
And I mean, some of that comes from going to film school and being around a bunch of film people all the time and talking film. It's like that's one of the things I'll always go back to is Star Wars. Nowadays, it might be MCU stuff. They might, I'm an MCU fan, blah, blah. So, I mean, I don't know. But anyway, for me, that's what that was. Now, special effects, I mean, you know what a little bit about Malay, right? We talked about him in film school, but that's been a while for us. So he was a illusionist, a toy maker, a costume designer, a set designer. He did all of that stuff. He was what we'd call a magician, an illusionist. That's how they did the special effects back then. They just thought in that way. And I'm just giving a nice broad overview. So maybe somebody sees this and goes, I'm more interested in that. I'm going to go look that up and see where Joe was wrong. We'll go right ahead. I'm doing a nice broad overview. Right? So there's one movie that I watched that kind of got me thinking about this. And it actually was a Malay movie also. But it is called The Infernal Cauldron. It is about 3 minutes long or 2 minutes long. It has tinted color sequence in it. It's tinted color. And I might be saying that wrong too. What's it about? In a Renaissance chamber decorated with devilish faces and a warped coat of arms, a gleeful demon throws 3 human victims into a cauldron which spews out flames. The victims rise from the cauldron as a nebulous ghosts, and then they turn into fireballs. The fireballs then multiply and pursue the demon from the chamber. Finally, the demon leaps into the infernal cauldron, which gives off a final burst of flame. Wow. It was great.
Wow.
It was a fantastic movie. And I noticed the date on that one was 1903. I said, wow, I think that is the oldest movie that I've ever seen. Huh. But I forgot until today when we were talking about doing this, the date of Trip to the Moon. Now, Trip to the Moon, you can see most of these movies. You can see on YouTube, I believe.
Yeah.
Trip to the Moon, you can see on YouTube. Now, going through HBO Max and what they have, they've got a really nice selection of old silent movies. The Infernal Cauldron is on there. They've got a lot of Harold Lloyd. A lot of Chaplin is on there. A lot of this old stuff. Everything old is new again. So go ahead and check that out. It's on HBO Max, a lot of it. They got a really nice selection. But if you're looking for something you can't find, YouTube probably has it there because I think most of this is in the public domain right now anyway, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. So, I mean, it just kind of got me interested in Malay has got a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Let's do this. If we're talking about horror movies, I suppose for you, then the earliest horror movie you've seen would be Nosferatu?
Well, it has to be. With this, But there's another movie that I watched recently, not too, not too recently, and I cannot remember the name, but maybe you can help me out a little bit here. Um, it was a statue that came to life.
The Gollum.
Oh man, I watched that maybe a month ago.
Yeah. So that.
I was like, what? How the hell? I was like, wow, how did they do? Like some of the things that just surprises me that they did that, how they did what they did, just surprises me for that time.
Yeah. So that 1920. That is considered horror fantasy. So there you go. There you go.
It's
So
amazing how they did that, for the time.
yeah. So that was directed by Paul Wagner. And you know the funny bit is he made one of these. I believe he made this one of these in 1915. Um,
There was another
it,
version.
yeah, so there's one, and I think this is a bit of a remake of it. I think, but there's another one in the series. Hold on.
Yes.
And it is considered the first horror sequel. I believe, if I'm remembering this right. I'm trying to look it up real quick. So, okay. So, for people who don't know what the Golem is about, in 16th century Prague, a rabbi creates the Golem, a giant creature made of clay using sorcery. He brings the creature to life in order to protect the Jews of Prague from persecution. Really cool. It is a really cool movie. He looks really good, really creepy. Paul Wagner plays the Golem in that movie.
What
And
was cool?
this is one of those German expressionist movies, and they got they're very stylistic. I love the look of them. They're fantastic, the way they look. Um, yes.
The transition. You remember
Oh
the
yeah,
transition they did
yeah.
when they made the Golem, and they made him come to life, and then the guy moved into frame, and then he came back, and the guy was standing there. Remember they
Oh
used the
yeah,
statue first,
yes. It
and then
was
they took the
fantastic.
huh.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
The
So good.
transition was flawless.
Yes. And the way the movies look, the look of them, I just love it. The black and white photography, the way
Mm-hmm.
the I don't know, just so great. So yeah, so there was one. This is listed as in 1914. The Golem, the Monster of Fate. So I've never seen that version. There's also a sequel to that called The Golem and the Dancing Girl in 1917.
19
That's
what?
1917.
Wow. Now you
That's
see, I have to go
Paul
watch
Walker.
those.
Yeah. I've not looked for those, so maybe. Okay. Here it says all footage for that is believed to be lost. So really, this is like a trilogy.
Wow.
So there's the Gollum, then there's the Gollum and the Dancing Girl, and then there's the Gollum, the 1920 version. Fantastic stuff. I mean, wow. So your earliest one would be that 1920 movie.
Has to be because I watched it like about over a month ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I found out about it like accidentally. I just
Nice.
stumbled upon it.
Where'd you find it at?
It was on YouTube,
Nice. Very good. Very
but
good.
it was accidental. I heard it somewhere, and I was like, "What is that?" And then I
Very
just decided to check it out because it
that
looked
is
really cool.
wow,
Huh?
that is very cool. Very cool. So yeah, go check those out. Everybody, check them out. If you love now, where else I was going with this when you brought this up, but yeah, that's a really good one. The Gollum. Um, what you know what is considered to be the first horror movie, which you can watch it on YouTube. Do you know what it is?
Considered to be the first horror movie?
Yes.
Uh, would it be, if I had a guess, would it be the Dr. what's that? Dr.
Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Yeah. Would that be it?
No. So that one was 1919.
That was good too.
Yeah, it was good. It's fantastic. So, what is considered to be the first horror movie is Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Yes.
Wow. That was the Frankenstein that looked kind of. I thought didn't look like Frankenstein. I know who you're talking about. The guy who dressed up as Frankenstein, but it kind of was a very crude Frankenstein.
Yeah. So it was 1910.
I remember that.
Yeah. It was made by the Edison Company.
Kind of looked like Danny DeVito.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. He does. You're not wrong at all. He does, with a lot of hair.
Yeah.
So he's got, Charles Ogle played the monster. It's about 15 minutes long. It's on YouTube. You can see it, and I was so interested in it, I had to watch it, so I did. So I mean, go check it out. I mean, just it's just. I may not be communicating this as well as I do in my head, but if you love movies, go check some of these movies out, see where they came from. Don't just be stuck in what we have now, because with streaming you can see anything, and they make anything, and let's be honest, a lot of it's crap, right? I mean, a lot of it is just total crap. It just is. And you might find some gems that you didn't know existed. You might really be surprised and pleased by it. I don't know. Or you might go, Joe and Mark, you're nuts. This stuff is crap. Which is fine. Go right ahead. That's the best thing about movies. But I think we'll just wrap that up and just leave that right there. Mark, you got any final thoughts?
I think that my final thought is I actually forgot to touch upon this Blackula.
That's not very old.
No, but I forgot to touch upon Blackula as far as a Dracula movie that I thought was really good.
It's great. It's a great movie. I've got both of them. There's two of them.
I thought the way he looked.
There's Blackula and Scream, Blackula, Scream.
I just thought the way he looked was amazing.
Yeah.
The way they did him was amazing.
He's great in the movie. It's a great movie. All right. Well, we'll just leave that right there. Mark from the Toys of the Time Gone By. Thank you, sir, for coming by. Go check out Mark. And we'll catch everybody next time.
All right.